Welcome to Girl Talk. Thanks for joining us. We're pretty excited about our show today.
Yes.
We have some new guests that we have topics we haven't really covered before, so excited to talk about those.
Yeah, excited for you to learn too.
Yeah.
Because I think we all will. It'll be nice.
We're still in winter, so we are going to cover some winter tips for our cars. Joe from Conant Automotive will be here sharing some actually really great things that we tend to forget about and take for granted, I think, with our cars.
Yeah.
Like our battery.
It's
no
too
big
late,
deal.
and you're stranded somewhere.
Right. But also some good just tricks of the trade that I'm excited to learn about. So we'll discuss.
Yes.
You'll find out.
Sounds good. Also, a career in nurse anesthesia, if you're interested in being, now this is a mouthful, but a nurse anesthetist. You know, these are important folks, and I think maybe a little overlooked, even though they're always there. Now, these are the folks that take care of a person's anesthesia before, during, and after a surgery, and I find that fascinating, and I think there's a lot more to it than we give them credit for.
Absolutely. Well, and I think also for young ladies out there or women who are interested in a career in the medical field, but maybe aren't really sure which path to take, this might be a good one because you get your hands on a little bit of everything from surgeries to pregnancies to, I mean, it runs the gamut. Everybody needs you.
We'll have two gals that are nurse anesthetists that'll give us a little bit more information about what it takes to take that career path.
Yes.
And what it's like.
What it's like. That's a day in the life is always kind of nice when you're thinking about a career path, what it's actually like when you get in there.
Sure. I know I had a knee surgery a few years ago, and my nurse anesthetist was a gentleman, and I really enjoyed he gave me so much confidence going into this thing. He met with me before, and I knew that he would be there, and he was there after, and it just helped bring down any levels of concern or anxiety about
I'm sure
about doing that. So
it's important.
very interesting to learn about. Also,
What else we have, Janet?
we got we got flotation. Have you heard of flotation? It's kind of new, trending wise right now. Have you heard of that, Elise?
I just 2 days ago I read about it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And
It's all the rage, right?
apparently,
kind of is, though, really.
if it's
Yeah.
feeding through my timeline, then it's got to be.
What's interesting is it's not new. So this is flotation therapy, where you're in just a small amount of water, kind of in a pod, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a good description.
A pod, and
But you're literally floating on top of this bed of water, and it helps with stress relief, relaxation. The reason that I know about it is because a lot of professional athletes are starting to come out saying that they are using float therapy in between workouts, in between games, and it's really helping them a lot.
Sure. And when I read about it, it's also a great way to meditate, and I think that would really benefit me because I have tried to meditate in the past and I am terrible at it. It's very hard for me to just sit in silence with myself, especially with everything going on around me.
Right.
So I think that's a great way to put yourself in a bubble.
Literally, literally put yourself in a bubble.
And like get away from it all.
Yeah, it'll be a fun show. I look forward to it.
I know I was trying to learn some more about intuition, and one thing that they were saying is you need to clear out all that extra stuff going on in your mind in order to listen better to yourself or have clearer thoughts.
Sure.
And so this is the
sense.
kind of thing that can help, it sounds like.
Now, another word for it, we'll talk a little bit about this time, but is sensory deprivation. And so we were discussing sort of off camera how that sometimes sounds like a negative connotation,
Right.
but really in this sense, pun intended, of course, it's helpful because you're intentionally sort of suppressing some senses, including noise, in an effort to clear the mind, like you said.
And I think that sounds good, pun intended.
Arr.
So Float Madison will be up right after this break. We'll be right back with Girl Talk. And welcome back to Girl Talk. How would you like to reduce stress and anxiety, maybe improve creativity and learning, maybe need a gift for your favorite Girl Talk host?
Yeah, right?
They all sound pretty good to us. We're talking flotation therapy next, and with us we have Greg Griffin. He's the owner and operator of Float Madison. Welcome to Girl Talk, Greg.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming in. So tell us what flotation therapy is.
Sure, so it's also known as float therapy or sensory deprivation, but basically it's the act of getting into a tub with about 10 inches of water, saturated with about 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt.
1,000 pounds
Yeah.
in 10 inches of water.
Yep, so with all that salt being in the water, basically you lay on your back and you float on the surface effortlessly, and that's when a lot of cool things happen and you get all the benefits.
And so we have kind of a bit of a picture, I'm probably in the way, but that's the tank? Is that what you call
so we
it?
have, so it's done in float tanks, and we have different styles out there. We're going to be having a couple float pods and then the float room at Float Madison. Both are about the same. The room is just a little bit taller, about 3 feet taller, and has these cool starlights on the ceiling, but the experience ends up being the same in either version.
Yeah, and how about the benefits? Let's talk about that. So you've got these different options, but benefit-wise, really there's a benefit in any type of floating you're doing. So this is kind of relatively new, but also kind of all the rage among some of the professional athletes and other folks out there. Why? What's in it for us?
Yeah, definitely. So as far as the athletes go, definitely big with pain relief, people with chronic pain, people with injury recovery from doing heavy-duty sports. General stress relief is one of the biggest reasons people first come in.
Yeah,
And
who
then-
doesn't have, some stress in their life?
Oh, exactly. I think we could all benefit from it.
Yes.
And then there's so many other benefits to it. I'd say the other biggest one are the mental side of things. So just people with like PTSD, depression, anxiety, anorexia. There's actually studies going on right now where they're studying the effects of floating on those things at a brain research center, which is really cool.
That's incredible.
And even when there isn't an advanced case of mental anguish, just even in our day-to-day, they say that, calming down your mind can help you just live a better life and make better choices and have better relationships. And it sounds like this can do that and have those kinds of benefits.
Definitely.
Well.
I sometimes like to call it meditation on rocket fuel because, if you could practice meditation at home, but then you have a dog barking or you're thinking about these things, this gets you to that meditative state really quickly.
Nice.
Wow.
And Jess, I think that you're right. I think this is all the rage right now, and it's so great that it's available to us in Madison. I just read about it on Facebook the other day. And when I heard that we were interviewing you, I'm like, this is terrific. So what's your typical clientele? Who comes
Sure.
in to see you?
So I think a lot of people will be just the general stressed out person. People that are, working out.
So all
and
of Madison will
pretty much
be lining
everybody,
up.
yes.
Yeah.
Girl Talk crew.
Right.
Yeah, so the stressed out person is, I think it will be a wide range of people from any age, any gender. I've heard it's about 50-50 female and male that come in. So it's so broad, it's just, people come in for different reasons.
Sure.
And so it's pretty much everybody.
Greg, can you walk us through what the experience will be like? What's the steps in getting in and...
Sure. So the experience itself, I'd say generally varies a little bit from person to person, but typically your first float, you're kind of in there just kind of relearning how to relax and let go. And so
That's so sad. We have to learn how to do that.
It's true, though. Yep, I understand.
So I always recommend people float about 2 to 3 times so they can really start to get the benefits that we talk about out of it and the benefits other people are talking about. They usually come after, maybe your second or third float. Once you're in there your first time, you have all these questions in your mind. What is it going to be like? What am I doing here? That kind of thing.
So much for calming down the mind.
Yeah, and so it definitely takes like maybe 1 to 3 sessions to really just get in there and let go right away because you're already used to the experience, and then that's when the really cool things start to happen.
And I've heard it may take a few times, but where your mind goes while you're in there, it goes to some really neat places as far as memories and
Interesting.
Yeah,
different pictures.
definitely. I'd say the first time you're probably definitely going to come out with a general sense of just being really relaxed in there. And then the more you float, that's when the real cool mental things start happening. But you'll definitely benefit right away from pain relief and stuff like that.
really neat.
So neat.
All right, well, we're out of time, Greg. Thanks for coming in and talking to us about this. This is Greg Griffin. He's the owner and operator from Float Madison. We'll be right back with more Girl Talk. We'll talk about careers in nurse anesthesia. Coming up next.
Hey folks, welcome back to Girl Talk. We are talking about a new topic, one we haven't discussed before, but if you've ever considered being a certified registered nurse anesthetist, it's a mouthful, but it's a great career. We've got two ladies here who have lots of experience in the field and can share some things with us. So we're joined now by Deb Dalkey and Katie Parsons, and we're so pleased to chat with you today. Welcome to Girl Talk.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk a little bit about this career, and first of all, tell us a little bit about some of the experiences or education required to become a CRNA. This is an interesting field, but there's some background that is necessary, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I can take that one. When you're applying to anesthesia schools, they usually want you to have a bachelor's in nursing and about, on average, 3 to 5 years of critical care experience.
Okay.
And a lot of times that's being a nurse in an ICU, working with high acuity patients. After that, you gather some references. They want like character references, your work ethic. Are you a safe provider? Can you handle these kind of situations? And it's very competitive. I can tell you in my school, there were only 20 slots to get in and over 250 applicants.
And now that's just to get into the school portion. That's
Correct.
just the education piece. So we're
Correct.
not even talking about getting into the workforce and,
Right.
and going there.
Right.
Okay, so that's interesting to know. And I think this is a great career, you know, for young women out there, men of course too, if you're watching, to get into. But it's also nice to know that, you know, you really need to be passionate about doing this because it is a competitive industry. So you need to really want it.
Right.
Right.
You do have to
Yeah.
really want it, for sure.
So Kitty mentioned that having that ICU experience is really important. Why is that?
Because you need to be able to take care of critically ill, sick patients. Deal with stressors such as emergencies, how to handle emergencies, know hospital policies.
Quick thinking, it sounds like.
Absolutely, because you're right there in the trenches. With developing high-level assessment skills, so that when things do happen, you're right on the spot. You know what to do. You know who to contact.
And lives are at stake.
So absolutely,
can be,
Absolutely.
sure, yeah.
absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit for folks who are possibly interested in a career like this, or even just to maybe explore if they're interested in a career like this. Talk a little bit about where you work, and maybe even a little bit about some of the day in the life.
Okay.
Okay, well, CRNAs are everywhere. We work in urban hospitals and big cities. Oftentimes we work as part of a team. We call it the anesthesia team. So you're with an anesthesiologist, and a lot of times nurse anesthetists are the solo providers in rural areas. We're in the military. We take care of infants. We take care of laboring mothers. We do all kinds of surgeries, open heart surgeries, neurosurgeries. You name it, no day is the same.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because oftentimes when you get into the medical field, you are really more picking a type. What kind you might work with infants, you might work with pregnancies, you might work with certain surgeries. But in this field, you're really getting to see all of those things.
Right.
It's
I
true.
find that interesting.
So you mentioned that there's this no day is the same. So are you able to pick what's the best part about this sort of job? What do you like best about that?
That's a loaded question. But
So,
Deb, you
for
wanna
me,
tackle
I
that
like
one?
taking care of a wide variety of patients. I love taking care of children. I love taking care of a wide variety of
So it's
patients.
the variety in
elderly.
itself.
To me, it's the variety. What I really like about it too is we're in a profession where there's great opportunities to do volunteer work, on medical missions. And some of the photos that I submitted that you guys may be showing are from some of the medical missions that we've done taking care of children in Central America.
Wow.
And so it's an extremely rewarding profession, even though we're kind of in the back, scene sometimes and people don't remember we're there. It's extremely rewarding.
and a really important component to what's happening there in certain medical situations. Absolutely. How about you, real quick, before we go?
I would say my favorite is talking to patients, finding out their history, and then using all those pieces to create like the perfect anesthetic. What's going to work for one patient might not work for another.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, gosh, this went really fast, but this is a really fun topic for, young women out there who are thinking about what to do along their career path, and very helpful. So thank you so much. This is Deb Dalkey and Katie Parsons, nurse anesthetists, and we appreciate it. We're going to be back with more Girl Talk after the break, so please stay with us. Hello and welcome back to Girl Talk. So we've had all kinds of fun so far today, but this is the segment we've been promising you would be here. We're talking about winter maintenance for your car. I don't think there could be a more perfect time to have this discussion as the cold rolls in and we start buckling down, thinking about what could go wrong with our cars this year. This is Joe Conant, as you may recognize from Conant Automotive, and we're so glad to have you back, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's been a while.
So yeah, we're glad to see you, and we love having you, and we love how you give us these great tips for our vehicles, and let us just kind of shoot the breeze about any questions that we have. So let's kind of start with some of the things on the table and talking about what we can do to kind of get ready for the year.
All right, well, since winter is here, it's real simple to make sure that your vehicles start every morning. First things first is a good battery. I suggest every 3 years, and that might be a little bit early for some, but it's cheap insurance. A battery should cost you installed right around $130 anywhere.
Huh, that's it, huh?
And if you divide that up per year, it's pretty cheap insurance.
Yeah.
The other thing is having your oil changed, so that's done and out of the way.
Did you see my face? I need one, yeah.
It's just to make that car start when it's supposed to when we get down to the 10 below. Them are the two major things to get done.
Okay. And with the oil changes in the winter, now, typically you've told us that 3,000 mile mark. Do you think sooner, or are we still good at 3,000?
Well, mainly it's we set it at 4,500 on the oil that we use.
Okay.
I suggest going with a semi-synthetic or a full synthetic oil change. I'm glad you brought that up because you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So you see the signs that say 1995 oil change. You're not getting what your vehicle needs.
Okay.
You're going to spend $50, $60.
I'm glad you asked or brought that up too. Is I never know if that's worth the money. There's all these different price points and different oils, and I have an older vehicle, and going into the winter, you think it's worth spending the money on the better oil?
Oh, always. Always.
How do you know what oil they're putting in?
Trust, branding, brand name. Like if you go to like a Valvoline, Pennzoil, Quaker State, when you go to the lower price, like the 1995, they're generally using the lowest cost oil to make, because an oil change, the money that's made on an oil change is really not that much because you have so much tied up in the product itself. So 1995, you're not getting the greatest oil.
Right, because they've got to have some margin, or what's the point?
Yeah, you got to have margin.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
we're in business, so yeah, you have to have margins.
So that's good to know. And I love the battery tip too, because when your battery does die, and I've had this happen, then you're stuck. And then you're dealing with expenses like possibly towing or having somebody come out to you. And for the price, I didn't even think it was that inexpensive to get that changed. It's
yeah,
really
they're very, for what you're getting, it's very inexpensive.
So
Isn't there a way to tell how old it is? It seems like I remember.
Yeah, it should be a date code right on the top there where it's punched out.
I'll see that,
Generally, that's what they're supposed to do. A lot of places sometimes, get into a hurry and don't put the date that it's put in.
So interesting.
So you're just a guessing game. Quickly on the battery situation, this is a little piece of equipment that you can get for right around about $200. It may seem like a lot of money, but they do come smaller. And this is actually a jump pack, meaning you can jump start a vehicle. You can even jump start a big diesel truck.
Wow.
With just that.
And you can also power a laptop, your phone. I've recommended this to a lot of people that have kids that are going to college. They can stick that in their vehicle. And that way they don't get the call on a Sunday night when they're 200 miles away. at least they can get home safe.
Or you have to ask a stranger.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I was just saying too.
Yep.
I just got chills because I've had to do that before, and it's always worked out. But if I had something like that, boy, that would take.
And that's a bigger unit. They do come smaller, and like I say, they're right around the 250, 250 range.
Where do you get that?
I know Farm and Fleet has them. I mean,
Okay.
everybody has them now.
Oh, really? Wow.
And
I'm
what do
not
you
in the
call
loop.
them?
It's just a battery jump pack.
Okay. Now, what's this fun gadget?
This is something I recommend people keep in their vehicles. It's a snow broom. Basically, it's foam so you don't scratch the paint, so you can actually clean all the snow off your vehicle so you're not driving down the road with all this snow on it.
Especially the hood where it can blow
yeah,
back.
it blows in.
Exactly. And also, since we're on that subject of cleaning off where the windshield wipers go, the cowl area, what happens is you'll get into such a hurry, you'll get the wipers going, and it basically will destroy the wiper motor.
Oh, they get stuck?
Oh,
because
no,
it
I do
gets
this
stuck.
all the time, too. I do everything wrong.
And
what
wiper
I'm
motors
learning.
are kind of expensive to replace, so you definitely want to get your car clean. On the wiper subject here, we got two kinds of wipers. You got the beam type, and you got the old suspension type, I'll call them. Well, snow and ice can get trapped in here, and then your wiper blade's doing nothing. And I know you've probably experienced that going down the road. You're not cleaning the window.
So it's
Where-
going, but it's not
Right,
cleaning,
it's not making
working.
contact.
Yeah.
Whereas this one here will make full contact with the windshield, and it's less likely to get snow built up on it. So there's a safety thing too.
How often are you supposed to change out your windshield wipers?
I recommend once a year,
Once a
twice
year?
a year
Okay.
maybe, because they are out in the elements, they're getting beat up, and people overlook them.
What were
Another
those
thing I
called
need.
again?
The beam, it's beam type. Basically everything made now has this type on it, new vehicles that is. But older vehicles, they have these for the older vehicles, but these will work also.
If you have the older ones, can you can
Yes,
switch
yeah.
to, you can go to
Yep,
either
you
way.
can get the new ones.
And what should we be spending on a set of windshield wipers like this?
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
You should spend probably $15 to maybe $30 on a set.
Okay. That's we can do that.
Don't get
that's
the
not bad.
$2 ones because they're not going to work out for you.
Could be a stocking stuffer.
You know what,
$2.
Janet? That's not. No, we get the good ones if you're going to do that. Oh my gosh, Joe, thank you so much. Is there anything else here we want to talk about, or we cover the important
Real
things?
quickly. When you got car keys, have them look like this. One key, maybe house key, and the key fob.
Okay.
This is bad. You don't need all this stuff on your keychain.
Right.
It wears out the ignition lock cylinder,
Does it?
and it's just it's
Because of the weight?
because of the weight. That's always hanging on the little ignition lock cylinder, and it wears them out prematurely.
Interesting. I didn't know that. And safety, you know, when you're fumbling around getting into your car, you got to be careful safety-wise, too.
Exactly.
Joe, this is all fabulous. Thank you so much for these
You're welcome.
fantastic tips. Joe is from Conant Automotive out in Stoughton. Make sure you check him out. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you to all of our guests, and thank you for watching. Join us next time for Girl Talk.